Now Ayrshire Radio Podcast presents Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Welcome back to Ayrshire Insights with me, Elliot Boyce, and as promised, we have a brilliant guest on today's show for this week's Local Legend Spotlight. We have Jim Gemmell of Gemmell's Van Sales. Jim, a massive thanks for coming on the show this morning.
Thanks very much for having me down, Elliot. It's a very pleasure to be here.
So before we find out about how it all started, we want to know more about you. So first of all, tea or a coffee?
Definitely tea.
Brown sauce or tomato sauce?
Got to be tomato.
I'm a brown sauce man. What is your go-to Sunday morning roll?
I just had it there before I left. My wife kindly made it for me again. It was a rolling sausage, tatty scone with some tomato sauce.
You can't beat it. Right, we're going to find out a lot more about Jim very soon.
You're listening to Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Now Ayrshire Radio.
So Jim, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Onthank. I was born in 1977, so I grew up in the 80s. I attended Onthank Primary School with my friends that are still my friends to this day. Had a great childhood growing up in Onthank. My parents were working class people. My dad worked for Wimpy Homes, and my mum was a home help.
There we go. So, what was your first ever job?
Oh God, my first ever job was in sports division down in Ayr. That was my first kind of delve into the sales environment. I was a wee Saturday boy, working in the one down in Ayr at the old brig. It's obviously no longer there anymore, but that's where I kicked off my sales career. And from there, how did you then move into the motor trade? Oh, there were a journey before we moved in there. That was just as I left school, as a Saturday job to get me extra money for the weekend with my friends. And I was actually a apprentice bricklayer when I left school at kind of 15, and I worked with a couple of guys that were obviously bricklayers, and they going to take me through my apprenticeship. But I get into the winter months, and I didn't really like being stuck on a building site lifting bricks and blocks, so my wee hands were getting rough, so I kind of changed career and I actually left and went and worked in the factories in Gemmell. I worked in the Saxon factory in Jaegers when I was a young guy, and looking back it was probably the wrong decision leaving an apprenticeship as a bricklayer to go and work in the factory environment, but it took me into and I rode it. It took me to the sales environment. I left there and went and worked in the sports division. I went back to sports division and worked there full time when I was 19 there. And then I left and an apprentice trainee salesman job come up in Robert Wiper Motors as a car salesman. So I left and went and worked there for a few years and kind of plodded around the sales environment. I went and worked up in Glasgow at Yellow Pages and Thomson Local as a sales rep for them as well. So I've always kind of worked in the sales environment up until that age, and then I kind of left that.
A massive wide CV, to be fair. I mean, you seem to have done loads through it. So where did you get the love for vans, and how did it then become to what you've got here today with Gemmell's?
Well, what happened was, when I met my wife, I was working in a oil and gas company just doing driving, and my daughter was been born then, and I'd always like to get back into sales. I love meeting people. I'm a bit of a people's person. I love a chat. I love a blather. So was I working doing that, driving up and down to Aberdeen in the lorry. I was to bring extra cash in, but I was out doing deliveries for the 5-star to bring extra money in. My daughter was just no long born at the time. I had a stepdaughter as well.
So the 5-star, the local Chinese?
Yes, I've been there too much lately, I think, the waistline. But yeah, I got out that, and then I applied for a job in a company in Kilmarnock. It was Citroen. It was called TOM Vehicle Rental at the time. And I went back in, and that's when I got back into selling vans. I genuinely never sold a van in my life because it was cars. I'd previously sold in the motor trade. And I just took to it really, really quickly. I started doing well, and I was building my sales up. I was getting a bit of a reputation in the company for selling the amount of vans I was selling. And then, unfortunately, after 3-4 years, TOM, for a higher level than what we were at, they went into administration, and unfortunately, they shut down.
So that was it. So going from being employed, and clearly you then have the challenges of being employed, and what happens with that, business goes out, a horrible thing for so many people, including the people obviously at the helm of the company. As you know now, being self-employed, the challenges in keeping a business up to date, cash flow, which we're going to touch on later on in the interview. So when you left TOM, where did you go from there before Gemmell's started?
When I left TOM, I was absolutely gutted. I really, really enjoyed working there, and I was doing really, really well. I was absolutely broken-hearted to leave there, and we moved on and went round around a couple of dealerships, and I just couldn't find my mojo again. I just didn't settle. And then I actually went and spoke to someone about starting up for myself, but to start up a van sales business, to buy an average of 10 vans, if you're £10,000 a van, you're going to be 100 grand, then you've got your VAT on top of that as well, so it's quite a large layout. So I went and approached a customer that owns a leasing company that I used to supply vans to, and asked them if he would give me vans on sale or return to get me up and going. And here we are. I started selling vans for my old council house in Belfield, and I built it up from there. We started the company in May 2019, and then I started for there, and we worked there for about 6-7 months, just selling vans for the house, and then opened up in premises in Galston.
So there we go. Right, we're going to find out the biggest wins and the biggest lessons. We're going to do it just after this.
Tune in live every Sunday from 10 a.m. for Ayrshire Insights with Elliot Boyce.
Only on Now Ayrshire Radio.
Now Ayrshire.
Now, we've heard about the early days. Now let's talk about the business journey. So, Jim, what was your first big win?
Our first big win with the vans was getting a contract with a company that we still deal with this day. We just recently only really opened up, and they come in and bought 12 vans off us, which was a massive kick for us to get us really, really going. And that was a massive thing for us, getting the 12 vans secured. We still deal with the company to this day. We've got a really, really good relationship with them.
No, fantastic. Now, going through your journey, so clearly every business has its ups and downs. And you mentioned, what year did you start trading?
We started up May 2019.
And where was your first premise? How did you start off from that point?
We started off, as I touched on earlier on, I sold vans for the house in Karen Avenue in Belfield, where we lived at the time.
You must have been popular with the neighbours.
We had a school behind us, so the car park get used a wee bit more often than it did for the school kids' parents. But yeah, we started off there, then we moved into Galston just about October, November 2019. And everything we had made for the May opening up, we get put into Galston. We done all, it was like new windows, signs, everything. We spent loads of money on it. It was an old petrol station. And then unfortunately, in February 2020, February-March time, COVID kicked in, and I'd never run a business before. I panicked, and looking back, we'd done the right thing. We closed Galston. I managed to get out the lease, thankfully. We just signed a 5-year lease just before that, and we got out the lease, and I moved to a place in Park Street in Kilmarnock. And I went from having maybe 20 vans to getting down to about 4 or 5 vans.
So just talk to me about that period then. So obviously COVID, a massive impact to everybody. And in business, I mean, I think every single business person that we've had coming on the show has always talked about the challenges of that period. Now, vans are probably something that was quite heavily impacted as well, because with that, it wasn't just COVID, and this is coming from experience in the kind of fire engine market. One of the biggest things was the semiconductor shortage, which followed after that as well, where you couldn't get new vehicles that were coming in. There was issues like it could be down to like radios and all the things that required semiconductors. Did you feel an impact where the stock was also less that was available?
Yes, absolutely massive. Because the manufacturers weren't able to make the new vans that were coming through, which would come through in the line, and then like your big leasing companies are defleeting their vans, and they're coming through into the system, rolling into the big companies, down to guys like myself, and it was a massive shortage. And also the vans went up in price as well, and I think a lot of people thought that the vans were up in price when we were making more money. We obviously had to pay more money for the vans, which made it a harder job for me, because if somebody comes in and they've got a budget of £250 a month they want to spend, that van at £250 a month went up to £320, so it's a big jump for people as well.
Absolutely, it adds up significantly. And I think that was probably it was a difficult period. And I remember back to it where lead times before could be a matter of a couple of months, to then lead times going to like 12 months plus, because of the lack of stock that was available. And you're right, at that point, when the most challenging situation globally and a massive impact to people like yourself, and then on top of that you had the price hikes because there was a shortage, and simple economics, when there's shortage of things, the price naturally goes up and becomes supply and demand. Now, that was a challenging period. You then obviously left that premises, thankfully managed to get out after signing the 5-year lease. Where did you go to next, and then how did you deal with that? What was the size comparison as well from the premises?
Well, the size comparison was probably, I know the listeners can't see, but it was a couple of about double the size of this studio, which isn't massive.
No.
So it held about 5 or 6 vans, and I plodded away up there. Myself, obviously, my wife was doing all the accounts and admin. I was buying the vans, was selling them, I was cleaning them, I was photographing them, put it on the website. It was quite a bit of a lot of work. But listen, we never gave up. We plodded away. It was a dream come true for me to see my name above the door and have something like this. And then it kind of swiped away from us with COVID. I thought we were going to lose everything, to be quite honest. But we battled on, and then for Park Street, we moved to where we've just left. Actually, we were at Douglas Street in Gemmell. It's just situated next to the Galleon Centre. So I went again. That was a big dealership, because if we didn't do that, I was actually going to start going back and going to probably work for a company again, which I didn't really want to do. Through everything away that we had obviously put a lot of time, effort and money into as well. So we moved to Douglas Street and we rented that. For just over 3 years there, and that's when I seen the company grow massively again. That's when I brought more staff on. I brought 2 valeters on, and then after a year being in there, I took a mechanic on. Kieran joined us. He's been with me a couple of years now. With a couple of mechanics before him, they didn't work out, to be honest. And Kieran's been with me just about 2 years. He came for Royal Mail. He looked after the fleet of vehicles at Royal Mail, so that was really, really big. We've got our workshop in that as well, so that was massive, because we were outsourcing our work, which is really, really expensive.
So talk about the business model then. So it's clearly van sales. What's the job of the mechanic? Is it for warranty work? Or so what is it you do as Gemmell's van sales?
Well, the mechanic's job, what we do is, so when we get a van and the van gets sold, the van will go up to the workshop, it goes through the workshop, it gets fully serviced, gets fully checked over. If it needs any of the stuff like your tyres, pads, discs, etc. There's other things that we do with vans as well. So he would do all that. And listen, the car trade is a hard industry. A van could have issues. You could put it at the door 2 or 3 months later. So if a customer maybe had a wee issue with a van, if a light come on, that would come back in. We get it fixed through warranty work and stuff. We don't do we don't, if you asked if we could service your vans, it's not something that we can do. We're not big enough for that yet. That's probably something that I'm maybe going to look to over the next course of the year, to bring another mechanic on, so as we can do other customer service and work as well.
And you talk about mechanics. That's also a really difficult trade to actually retain for the motor trade just now. I mean, we mentioned on the show about all the massive kind of engineering that happens right here in Ayrshire. We talk about the aviation side. Now, aviation, a fantastic industry, great for the local area, but for people like you, it's not.
I'm shaking my head here when you're saying that, Elliot. The aviation industry's took all the good guys at the motor trade. I think I've got the last best mechanic here. But yeah, the aviation industry did take a lot of techs away from the motor industry. So it is really, really difficult to get a good guy. The mechanic we've got just now came with a massive amount of experience. We're looking after vehicles at the Royal Mail. He's a really, really good guy as well. So we're happy with him. So hopefully he stays. But we'd like to add another one on further down the line. So yeah, we'll have to get the recruiting head on again.
It is a challenge. Now, one of the other things, I mean, we're very big on in here is looking at young people and developing the young workforce and speaking to various different people that support with that. Now, with that, have you ever looked at the apprentice model and getting young people in and bringing them through the workshop?
Yeah, it is something that we have looked at before, but it is something that we'll probably see a bit this year as well. We would ideally have 2 mechanics, 2 fully time served mechanics, and 1 maybe apprentice. I was trying to talk one of the young boxers that we sponsor at North West to come and work for me, young Hugh Clark, but he's want to get in a different route. He's want to be a joiner, so I'll need to get him a job as a joiner to one of my customers.
Fantastic. Now, we're going to touch, I'm really interested to find out all about the stuff that you do in the local community, because there's a lot to talk about in that, which we're going to do shortly. But talking through the business side and where you're at just now, so you've had real big wins, you've had hard days. What would you say your kind of hardest days been in general of running a business?
The hardest day was driving down here with the nerves to know I was coming on a radio station live at 12. It's just, listen, what stresses me out is if customers get an issue with a van, if a customer phones me, Jim, my lights on in my van, or something goes wrong with the van, that stresses me out, because I know that customer's not going to be happy, and it's something that we act on really, really quickly. So we want to keep customers happy, but it's like hard days are every day's a hard day running a business.
And when you talk about vans, you're right, because when you take that away, that's their lifeline, that's their office, that's their business. If the van's off the road, it's essentially, depending on obviously the size, if it's a one-man band or a one-woman band, at that point there's nothing more they can do. So what's your turnaround in that, and how much pressure does that put on you? Because things can happen at any point. It could be 2 o'clock on a Sunday morning And I'm guessing with the relationship that you've got, that your WhatsApp or your phone will go at that point.
Yeah, it is massive. So immediately we act on that straight away. We would obviously try and get a customer a hired van. We would give them a courtesy van, get the van in as quick as we can and get it back out the door to them so the customer's happy. Because I know if a customer's got an issue with their van, I become the worst man in the world. So we want to become the best man in the world. So we act on it and get it fixed, get it quickly. Because it's a hard industry, the car trade or the motor trade.
No, it is, and it's a very competitive industry as well. I mean, it wouldn't take you long if you were driving around Ayrshire to look at all the different places that you can buy vehicles, whether it's cars, vans, trucks, whatever that seems to tickle your fancy. There's still certainly lots of dealerships out there. How do you feel it is competing against the bigger dealerships as well? I mean, because but you've obviously got a lot of big brands that are right here in Ayrshire.
Yeah, a lot of people that I've dealt with, I've sold vans probably now for about 10 years in total, taking into consideration the time I spent with other dealerships. And I've dealt with customers, I've got customers that I've dealt with for years and years and years, and it's about building relationship with them, building trust. And like, so when you get into the bigger dealerships, it's a totally different experience. You come in with myself, we'll get a cup of tea, we'll get a blether. If we've got cakes here, we'll have a cake, and we'll chat about getting the van all signed up. Then I'll phone them, your van's ready, and it's as simple as that. We try and keep it as simple. We don't need to sell them add-on products that customers don't need. Selling a van is totally different from selling a car, because you're usually just dealing with the person that comes in, whereas when you're selling a car, it's like a kind of family purchase, whereas it's a kind of single person's decision. 90% of the customers I deal with are tradesmen, so the man's coming in, he doesn't really bring the wife to see his new van because she's not want to see the van.
There's plenty of tradespeople across the full of Ayrshire, and I think you're right. It's having that personal touch. And one thing that I've kind of noticed when you were talking about the staff that you've got working for you, you've got your wife that does the accounts, you've got your mechanics, but you haven't mentioned sales. And I'm guessing through talking to you that's you. Have you got anybody else? And how do you plan with that in terms of managing it?
Elliot, I don't plan my day, to be quite honest. If my wife is here, she would tell you I don't really plan anything. I do everything. I do all the sales and stuff. And you were asking me before we came on air if I would ever take another salesperson on, and I've always said no, because the customers that I've dealt with for that long, they always come in and it's myself that they deal with, is Jim in, and I've always felt as if I was to take someone else on, it would take that away for the person. It would be very difficult for them to get new customers in as well. So I've always done the sales, and I always will do the sales, and I feel as if I can keep it like the kind of family environment, whereas if I bring someone else in, it's kind of loses control of that a wee bit as well.
And you've built something, and you've built it on your name. But one of the challenges in that is probably something that I can certainly resonate with the multiple different things I'm involved in. When you're the only real person and the person that people want to deal with, I take it your life becomes work.
My life's fans, yeah. It's if the phone rings on a Sunday night at 5 o'clock, or if it goes at any time, we've always got to act on it. The downsides are you don't try to get time off and go on holiday with my wife and kids. The phone goes all the time. At Christmas time, we get a break because the kind of trade shut then.
Yeah.
But yeah, my wee girl, Emily's 12, and she now refuses to go anywhere with me because I always meet people that have sold vans to her. They want to talk about vans, so my daughters, she wouldn't even come to Asda with me anymore.
To be fair, it's probably a good thing. And I think you're right in what you say. And I've heard this before. See, when you put your name above the door, people are buying from you. And it also gives you the responsibility that you trust the product that you sell, because fundamentally, if something goes wrong and they've bought it from it, you're not hiding behind a Ayrshire Vans or whatever you want to call it. It's your name. So fundamentally, when you're walking through, whether it be a supermarket or going to the shop, going to the football, if you've sold a van and somebody's not happy, it's Jim they're coming to.
Yeah, I put 100% trust in the product. It's the suppliers that I buy my vans from, I've dealt with them for a long, long time, and we've got excellent relationships with them. I also put 100% trust in my staff as well. Kieran, my technician, is one of the best mechanics that I've ever came across, so that's very important for me to have a good relationship with him, because he is the guy that I really need to rely on to get the product to the standards where we require it.
It is great to see that you've managed to retain that, and you're right in what you said. I mean, it is challenging. It's challenging for staff. It's challenging for a good quality of staff, and it is difficult to compete against some of the massive companies that are right here in Ayrshire. Right, we've heard about the listeners' tenner bargain of the week, but up next, Jim, I'm looking for you to let me know your bargain of the week, plus find out what drives you to give back locally.
Now streaming
Ayrshire Insights, hosted by Elliot Boyce.
This is Now Ayrshire Radio.
Time to talk community charity and Ayrshire Pride. But before we do find out your links to community, the listeners were in touch earlier on and let us know their weekly bargain. So the question for you, Jim, is what is your bargain of the week?
Well, the bargain of the week this week was up at Sid's Premier in Hurlford.
Right.
2 packs of pillows for a tenner.
There we go.
And he's got very many more bargains on as well.
Are you on a commission deal with him?
No, he's just a good guy. He's not even one of my customers either.
There we go.
Still give him a plug.
There we go. Listen, great bargains. And so that was it in Hurlford's. Really good deals in there.
Definitely. Follow his page on social media.
Yeah, a good laugh and good to see some of the deals that's ongoing. Right, Jim, back to you. So why support local causes like us at Now Ayrshire Radio?
I would love to see I support you for my love for Anna and Debbie, but I love doing local stuff. My business is local. I want to sell vans locally. We don't advertise on platforms like Auto Trader because I feel as if selling a van to somebody in Manchester, I can't give them the same service. It's what I can do locally. So I've known Anna and Debbie for a long time now in your sales team, so they're always coming up and taking my pennies off me, so that's why I've got involved in Now Ayrshire Radio. You have also helped promote the boxing club. I'm one of our boxer Anna as well, and it's nice to be doing local, isn't it? It's not just me, it's the local business that's doing stuff. There's loads of local businesses, and it's nice to see your name up there with some of the companies that's advertising with you as well. And listen, I got a lot of business at Now Ayrshire Radio as well. My phone rings quite a lot, and I'll always ask customers that I've never dealt with before, how did you know about us? We do a lot of advertising on social media as well, and I get a lot of business for Now Ayrshire Radio. It's well worth my time doing it.
No, thank you. Very much appreciated as well in supporting us here. Now, talking about that, I mean, your advert as well, you tell us a little bit about that, because we actually just heard it before we went on, but you had a lot of vision in it. It does really describe you quite well.
Right, I'll let some of the listeners all know. My nickname is Isa. For still game, because I absolutely love nothing better than sitting with a cup of tea and having a blather. I love talking, so I do, and you probably know that by the time I've been in. So when I was kind of putting the advert together with Anna, I says to her, I want to do something like the kind of Isa voice for still game, and we've obviously just moved premises as well, so we were trying to promote that as well. So between myself and Anna, we come up with a bit at the advert, and the wee bit at the end where he loves a blather. I'm going to take the credit for that because that was my idea. But I love the advert. I'm really, really pleased with it, so I'm
brilliant. No, glad to hear it, and glad to see that you're getting results from it as well. So you're very much an Ayrshire man, going up in Onthank, staying in Ayrshire and promoting, working with Ayrshire and local businesses. What does the local feeling mean to you?
The local feeling is just about listening. I'm a local boy. I was born and bred in Onthank, as you touched on earlier on, and I've stayed in Kilmarnock all my life, and I'll stay in Kilmarnock the rest of my life. I'll never ever move for Kilmarnock, but it is good to be supporting local businesses. There's nothing, the amount of times that you hear people saying, that wee shop I used to go to is not there anymore. I loved that shop. And these wee shops aren't there anymore because we're not going to them anymore. That's
100% spot on. It's something we speak about all the time, because people are so quick when you see whether it's a pub, a restaurant, a shop that they're shutting down or something's happening, everyone's only, oh, that's a shame, I remember. But fundamentally, if people aren't getting into your business and supporting it locally, I mean, it's so easy. You can jump on your phone at any point, your computer, whatever it may be, jump onto the big sites. You can actually click that you want something, and before you even realise the money's out your bank and the door's chapping where delivery sits, a really competitive market. But it's that point as well, though, where when you really need that instant service, you want to get down, or you want the chat to be there, and somebody like you as well, where if I'm trying to deal with, let's say, a kind of bigger dealership, if I need to speak to them, you're phoning customer services, and you could be speaking to somebody anywhere in the world, not just you. But if there's an issue with your van, you contact yourself, you're speaking to the guy who makes the decisions, who sold you the van, and can actually get the solution. So that's where buying locally can certainly have an added value.
Yeah, definitely. Local businesses are becoming less of a thing now. I don't think it's just local businesses, the customer that needs to help the local businesses. We need more help from your councils and your governments as well to help fund local businesses, because they don't really get much, and you can see the high streets as a dying thing now.
So you talk about that, and you talk about local government, and you talk about the grants. I mean, one of the things that I think is key, and where a lot of people probably similar to yourself fall outside the scope, because there is grants available, and for somebody that's involved with business, I can see them, and you see them for the likes of, it could be digital innovation, it can be AI, it can be a lot of great, wonderful things that absolutely can make an impact. But the local person, the local business, the person like yourself who's trying to grow something, employing people, is there support that you feel that's there for you?
if there is support, it's not advertised enough. When people are running businesses, it takes over your life. My life's like constantly, if the phone rings, the phone's always ringing, you're answering messages, social media, emails, inquiries about vans. We don't have time to go and look and see what funding's available and scurry about the internet and stuff and see what's about local. I feel as if it should be made more advertised and made more open and easier for people to access.
And one good point in that is, I mean, there is the local business gateway teams, but again, I mean, we read last week as well that across Ayrshire there's a funding deficit. I mean, the thing that's coming from government level, there is no money, or there's a lot less money, and there's cuts having to be made. The big thing that, I mean, I feel in looking at it is if there is investment to businesses and there is people that are chapping doors and going, by the way, you look at that and you look at your business and go, do you know what, there maybe is something for you. Now, I don't doubt that there will be support out there, but you're right, it's getting access to the services, getting access to the right people who are naturally stressed. I mean, there's thousands in businesses across Ayrshire, and there could be one person that's responsible for that. And if you're not chapping the door, or you're not there, then or you don't tick the easy funding box, it could make it challenging for you to actually get access and get understanding of what's actually out there.
Yeah, people need to know about it, but genuinely, I don't know about any funding that's out there for my business just now. Nobody comes and tells you. We don't advertise it anywhere unless they chat my door. But put it on the council website. Let people know about it.
Absolutely, and I think that's something from us in Ayrshire Insights, and producer Chris is nosing away in the corner there. We're going to contact all of the local councils, east, north, and south, speaking to the people who are involved in business, involved in the business gateways and what's available, and see if they can come on the show and let us know what is available for you and how the best way to get in touch and get support is. Now, you are clearly somebody who, as much as you've got massive local impact, you also do some charitable and you do some kind of local activities as well. What's your kind of key points that Gemmell's van sales and you as a person get involved with?
We do quite a lot of sponsorship with clubs in the community. I have done Felton, Meadows. The main one that I do just now is one that's very close to where I grew up, as in Onthank, is North West Boxing Club. I was getting involved with sponsoring North West a couple of years now. Club run by great guys, great boys as well, and girls that box up there as well. My sponsorship's been going with them for just over 2 years. We do a lot with them. I got to watch their fights. I got them train up there as well. And it's nice to see. I'm really hands-on with them. I've got quite close with the coaches and stuff like that as well, and I see the work that they do. We were up watching one of the young boxers that you've had on your show previously, Aaron Sarwar. Congratulations to Aaron, another win for him yesterday. If anybody's into boxing, it's follow Aaron on his socials, really going places. But it's nice to see progression in the sponsorship that we're helping us, helping them get their gloves, to get their new bags, to get stuff. And it's a wee place where I grew up to. I'm very attached to Onthank. It's a place I grew up with, and I go up in the area all the time. It's nice to be able to help the club. And I go and train there as well twice a week, but I keep picking up injuries at 48 years old, so my wife told me my boxing career's over.
And you, by the way, just to let you know, we're all trying to get ourselves fit and healthy, and you've brought in that box of cakes. You need to give them a shout out because they're beautiful.
Well, a big massive shout out to the Baking Me Attitude for the cakes that they donated for us. Susie is a Gemmell woman, and her cakes are amazing. Hope my PT at the boxing club's not listening here if you can't hear me talking about cakes.
Absolutely. I mean, 2 weeks ago I was doing an outside broadcast in a gym, and see the cake selection they had in there was unbelievable. I don't know what goes on in these places. Right, we're going to finish with a fun round and find out what's next for Jim Gemmell just after this.
This is the Ayrshire Insights podcast with Elliot Boyce.
And it's now time for 5 fast ones. So, Jim, I don't want you to think about it. Just shout out the first answer that comes into your head. Are you ready to play 5 fast ones?
Let's do this.
Right, favourite takeaway?
It's a beef curry, fried rice, chips with a lovely slice of bread.
Slice of bread with a curry, well, that's
about a piece.
Song that always lifts your mood?
Paramore, Burning Down the House.
Best thing about Ayrshire? The people. Weirdest moment at work?
Every day that I think I've lost a van and I can't find where it should be, and then we eventually usually find it.
Who plays you in a movie of your life?
It would have to be Jane McCarry. Eyes if he's still game.
There we go. Thanks for playing 5 Fast Ones. We'll be asking our guests every single week to get involved. So, Gemmell, what is next for you and your business?
Well, we've just moved premises. The place that we were at in Douglas Street, we rented it for just over 3 years. And just over that, a month ago there, we managed to get it over the line and finally get our new premises that we've managed to purchase in Home Quarry Road. So it's just down next to Dunelm and the Tesco petrol station, just at a big retail park. So big, massive move for us.
Brilliant, going from strength to strength. And what's one thing that you hope for Ayrshire's future?
I just want to see the town centres getting back to the way they used to. As I say, I'm 48 years old. I grew up in Kilmallock. When you had all the factories in Kilmallock, you had Jaegers, Saxon, the BMK, Johnny Walkers, and you would go up the town on a Friday and you'd see all the workers down the town. The shops were busy, the wee coffee shops, the restaurants were busy. I would love to see that back again.
Fantastic. Now, really appreciate you coming on this morning. Have you got any final shout outs and thanks that you want to shout out to your people?
Yeah, a big shout out to my wife for putting up with me every day and also getting the pleasure to work with me every day. Shannon's also a director of the company as well, and she's everybody thinks she works for me, but she doesn't. She's actually a director and she hates when people say, do you work for Jim? So Shannon's a director of the company. I'd like to thank her for putting up with me over the years. And my 2 daughters, Chloe and Emily. Chloe's just about to turn 19 on Valentine's Day, and she's just recently opened up a own hairdressers as well, Abuela Hair in Bank Street in Kilmarnock.
Brilliant. Nicely plug for her as well. And opening that again, more people in the family, self-employed, and making that journey to start up themselves.
Yeah, I've got also my family business as well. It was my uncle that started that off as Fisher Direct in here, another customer yourself. Always seen my uncle when I was a wee boy. We always had the nice cars and he was always away doing stuff, and I would always love to have that life, and my Uncle Jimmy inspired me quite a bit when I was a wee guy.
Fantastic, and all the work that goes into it.
Oh God, yeah. Some amount of work is in.
It's certainly not easy. Jim, a massive thanks for coming on the show today.
Thanks very much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure, guys. Thank you.
This is the Ayrshire Insights podcast.
Never miss an episode. Hit subscribe now.